All right, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and stop the video, write down this stuff that's in the box up at the top where it says write this down and memorize. This should be in some permanent notes that you can access. I'm assuming you've gone ahead and written down those notes. So we're going to start on with number one. And what we're going to do on number one is we're going to solve for y. Okay? So first step, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it that way. The first step is to, I'm going to draw my line. Oop, let me get this right for you. I'm going to draw my line down through the inequality sign and treat it much like I would treat an equal sign. So I'm going to move the term that's on the same side as the y. And I end up with y, here's my sign, is greater than negative 7 minus 4x. We have no coefficient of y other than the 1 that we could write. That's positive, so we don't have to do anything else. We can just leave it. That's our answer. Number two, again, I'm going to separate the inequality into two sides. Move the term. This is a positive 6x, so the opposite is negative 6x. I'm going to write it next to the negative 2 because the negative 2 doesn't have an x. Going to bring down my negative y is greater than negative 2 minus 6x. There we go. And negative y. Don't forget, you need to bring down that negative when it's there in front of the y. Now, we can't have a negative y, or we don't want a negative y, so we divide by negative 1. Okay? Divide by negative 1. If you divide anything by negative 1, you divide everything by negative 1. And the major rule with inequalities that you must remember is that if you multiply or divide by negative 1, you must change the sign. So that was a greater than, now we're going to do a less than. Dividing by negative 1 changes the sign, so negative y becomes positive y. Negative 2 becomes positive 2. Minus 6x now becomes plus 6x. All right. Let's look at number 3. Again, we're going to split this into two sides. Move the term, that's x. There we go. And we're left with negative 2y is less than negative 20 minus x. Now we're going to divide by negative 2 because the second step is divide by the coefficient of y. Remember, our major rule is if you multiply or divide by a negative number, the sign, the inequality sign, must be reversed. This is a less than. It now becomes a greater than. This becomes a 1y. Negative 20 divided by negative 2 becomes a positive 10. Now remember, if there is no coefficient that you can see in front of x, it is a 1. So I'm going to put the 1 there. A negative 1 divided by negative 2 simply becomes a positive 1/2 x. I'll clear that up for you. 1/2. All right. So let's go down to number 4. Same way. And you see we're going to have to put in our coefficients. Again, we have negative y. Now, we don't need to bring down the 0. We just need to bring down the negative x. So negative y is less than or equal to negative x. we're going to divide by -1 because that would be the coefficient if there was one. Remember, when you divide by a negative, you must change the inequality sign. So now it becomes a greater than or equal to. Y is greater than or equal to X. All right, back to graphing. Okay, so on number 5, we're going to practice the skill that we just had, and we end up with, if you subtract 7x here, subtract 7x there, you end up with y is less than 6 minus 7x. So our slope, remember, it's the coefficient of x, so it's a -7. The y-intercept is the constant, which is 6. We look at this symbol. It's less than, it doesn't have the equal sign, so this will be a dotted line. And it's less than, so it will be shading below. So what I'll do is I'll go to 6. I'll put in my first point. Now, -7 is the same as -7 over 1. So I will go down 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 1. Put in my point. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 1. Now I have a dotted line. So I'm going to come in and try to draw as nice straight dotted line as I can. All the way across. I'm going to put my arrows on. Now I'm going to see below. This is the point. If I go below, I see it's all this part over here. It looks like it's to the left, but it's actually below that point on the line. So I'm going to go here. And so what we're doing is we're saying that for any point on this line, we could draw or trace a line straight down and we would hit that shaded area. All right, let's try a couple more of these. Let's go up to number 6. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite it up here so I have a little more room. 10x plus 5y is greater than -20. Now we can't fill any of this out until we've solved for y. So I'm going to move my 10x. Well, I didn't leave enough room, so I'm just going to go ahead and do my -10x. It's not good form to do it this way because the 20 doesn't have an x, but I'm going to move everything over now. So I end up with a 5y is greater than -20 minus 10x. And if you can shift all this over to the left and then write it so that you can put the -10x next to the -20, that would be better. So we're going to divide by the coefficient. We end up with y is greater than -20 divided by 5 is -4. -10 divided by 5 is -2x. So now we can fill this in. This is a greater than, so that means shade above. It does not have the equal sign or the line underneath, so this is dotted. Our slope is the coefficient of x, which is -2. our beginning point on the y-intercept is -4. So I will go to -4, put my beginning point. My slope of -2 is like saying -2 or down 2, right 1. I'm going to go down 2, right 1. Down 2, right 1 from there. And then I can follow my pattern. All the way up. It'll help me draw a straighter line. Okay. So it's a dotted line. Means that the solution is not found on the points that we wrote or on the line. Okay. Now, I'm going to find this point and I need to go above. So I'd go this way. So any of this area is what gets shaded as greater than. So remember, when the line is dotted, your solution is not found anywhere on the line or on those points, but it is found in this shaded area. This is above. It looks like it's to the right, but we know that it's above because if we find any point on the line and we trace up, we go into the shaded area. So that is above or greater than. All right, let's move on. Let me get my pen going here. All right, and move down. So here we're going to rewrite our equation. So I'm going to try to give myself some room here. X minus 2y is greater than or equal to 4. I'm going to move the term that's on the same side as the y. I'm then left with negative 2y is greater than or equal to 4 minus x. I need to divide by the coefficient. The coefficient is a negative number. That's very important because if you multiply or divide by a negative number and you're working with inequalities, you must change the inequality. So my greater than or equal to now becomes less than or equal to 1 positive y. 4 divided by -2 is -2. Remember, if there is no coefficient, that would become a 1. A -1 divided by a -2 becomes positive because a negative divided by a negative is positive. There. Now that I have solved for y, I can fill this in. The coefficient of x is 1/2. The y-intercept, or the b, is the constant. It is -2. Notice that we have the equal sign here, so our line will be solid. The less than sign, remember, left hand less than, means we shade below. So let's get this going. We're going to, let me get this up here. I'll keep it all as much in view as possible. So I'm going to begin at B. B for beginning. I'm going to put a point at -2. And it's positive, so I'm going to go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. And you see we just keep following our pattern. And we can take it all the way across. And I don't know if you've noticed, but we don't need a calculator for any of this that we're doing with our inequalities. If you're dealing with some negative numbers, you may want to do your dividing or multiplying or whatnot with a calculator. But for the actual graphing and making it come out, you don't need one. So we have a solid line because we had that or equals to. So I'm drawing my solid line. That means that any of the points that I put on there or any part of that line will work. It is shaded below. Shaded below. So let me get out my below color, which I'm doing red. And we know that this is below because if we pick any point on that line and we trace a line below, so I started right there, and I go below, it's down in here. So anything, you could pick any point in this shaded area, plug it into this, and it will work. I promise you. That's what this whole thing is about. All right, just a little bit farther. Let's go down a little bit. There we go. All right. This is the last one that I'll be doing with you. I'm going to rewrite this. 5x plus 3y is less than 9. We're going to solve for y. Remember our two steps. Move the term that is on the same side as y. I'm going to draw that line so you see what I'm talking about. It's on the left side of the line. And now I have 3y is less than 9 minus 5x. We, second step, divide by the coefficient of y. That's 3. Now notice, it's positive, so we're not changing the sign. We're leaving the sign just like it is. So I'm going to go ahead and put my sign. That's y. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Negative 5 divided by 3 does not come out evenly. It doesn't reduce, so I'm just going to leave it as negative 5 over 3x. Now we can fill this in. The easiest thing, let's look at this sign. It's a less than. It does not have the equal sign, so it means it's a dotted line. It doesn't have the equals part, so it's dotted. It's shaded below because it's a less than. We look for the constant, the 3. It's a positive 3. And then we look for the coefficient of x. What is x being multiplied by? Negative 5 over 3. So here we go. Let's find some points. We're going to first put our beginning point, 3, right there. We're going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 over 3. Just like that. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. That's all we're going to get there. We're going to continue our pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to do our dotted line. And please use a ruler. I don't have a ruler right here. I'm just trying to show you. The ruler will help you when we start having to pick very exact points. Remember, the dotted line means that none of the points that are on the line, no part of the line, can be a solution. So, we're going to shade below. I can pick any point. I can even pick a point that's not even written. I can go right here. The line would go right there. Below, I would go down this way. So this is the area that needs to be shaded. I'm going to shade that with a red shade. There we go. And let's get it shaded. Okay. That means any point that you pick in this area that's shaded will work. Alright. Now, numbers 9 through 11, if you will notice, are just like day 1 assignment. So what I want you to do is I want you to go back to your day 1 notes, use those to find your equations, or not your equations, your inequality. A little practice. If you are having some difficulty, go back and watch that video And I think you might want to expect that maybe something from 9 through 11 could end up on a quiz. Have a good day.